Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted via remote means. Members of the public who wish to access the meeting may do so in the following manner. Join the Zoom meeting at the link provided in the agenda. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. If we are unable to do so for reasons of economic hardship and despite best efforts, we will post on the Westborough Public Library website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay, so calling the meeting to order. As you know, we're being recorded. Public forum is first. Do we have any members of the public who wish to speak? I don't see anyone on the attendee participant list. I don't think we have any minutes to approve. So let's go on to the overall project status update. Brian, I guess you can take the lead on that one.
Yeah, so we are ramping up for our town meeting proposal. We've had the select board meeting held earlier last month. We then followed that up with a meeting with the advisory finance committee. I thought both went very well and well supported. There were some good comments that came out of the AFC meeting that we have been working on. Ultimately, the number that we had shown at the previous LBC meeting in my total project budget, we were able to address some of the line items that were cause for some questions by some members at the finance committee. Happy to say that the number that we showed at the last building committee, we were able to get the total project budget down an additional $102,000. And the main drivers of that is based upon our proposal, Vertex's proposal for construction administration fees. Went through our staffing and our fees, duration of construction, and the level of effort that we feel is going to be needed, as well as any leftover funds from our design phase in order to roll that towards what is going to be what is needed. Additionally, and I believe that's the next agenda item on here, is we have received our bids for potential moving company. We've put that into a matrix in order to be shared, and we can share that after this, to which we are ready to recommend a firm for the moving company for this. And that resulted in a savings of about $45,000 from the budgeted line item that I had previously. We did remove a traffic study out of the overall budget. That also reduced the budget by $30,000. That being said, I'm not sure if people would like to see our bottom line number. And I guess the question also, and maybe this is to you, Walter, is I've kind of elaborated on some of the comments that we had on the right-hand side, which was kind of explaining the numbers that we had. I will admit some of those numbers still are those round placeholders as commissioning agent, testing agent, things that we aren't going to burn calories soliciting and getting quotes for until we have the money for it. And I'll share my screen here. Ultimately, we had a total project budget, including our previous appropriations at our CD 60% estimate at $15.693 million. After our bid results, we were just under 14 million. And as of this what I'm calling post AFC budget review, as of yesterday, we were at 13.82320. Deducting the previous asks at town meeting 23 and 24, my current ask right now is $12,303,229.
Oh, Brian, I just have a quick question. You had just said that for the construction administration for Vertex, it went down to 102,000. The moving company bids came down by 45,000, and the traffic study got rid of that for 30. That's 177,000. So where is that 177 drop?
Yep, so the 102 is total. So if you can see the delta between the 12,405 and the 12,303 is the
Okay.
102. So
I got it. Yeah.
the OPM fees, I can scroll up, and to be frank, I actually did some more work on it this morning, and we were able to reduce the 941 down to 935. That's actually what I've been able to spit out after looking at some of the staffing on this, was getting this down even into the 920s right now.
Mhm.
So there'll be actually a little bit more savings on that side for it. So the total, the accumulated savings that I had from all of the line items was the 102.
Okay. And this is, I know there was a member of the FinCom on the right-hand side who was asking if we could actually go back and again, value engineer more, but we really couldn't because the bids are the bids. But wasn't Mr. Shafford asking about reducing this construction administration costs and the contingency? Is that part of what you did here? It's soft costs that are coming out that won't affect the bids and their scope of work?
Yeah, what it was, and I hope my response was clear, is it was our recommendation to not reduce the contingency because of the favorable bid that we received. And
Yep.
so in fact, we did keep the number that we had for contingency, which ups the percentage of what we were holding, but it's because we felt as though the low bidder being such, we did not want to cut out more out of our contingencies on that. So I did not touch our contingency. I did not touch any other what we call administrative numbers for things such as envelope commissioning, MEP commissioning. Those are numbers that I've carried from experience on projects such as this that are relatively the same size. And I've put in the notes that the procurement of these would be post-town meeting, that we would be soliciting quotes from multiple vendors in order to provide this work. I do feel confident in those numbers that we would be, roughly in that ballpark, and that we wouldn't be exceeding that. One of the questions that the member had was regarding testing, with the minimal amount of concrete that we have on here. My only fear is with a renovation such as this, if anything gets exposed and we have structural review that's going to be required, and any other additional structural members that come in, there may be a task that a third-party tester would need to come in to perform these tasks. And I'd hate to reduce the budget we have for a testing agent just due to the fact that we thought that there wasn't going to be as much structural as we initially thought.
Okay, thank you. And one last question. I know you made it very clear that in the contingency, we were being good stewards of the project and building in a cushion, and that money would come back to the town. We think most likely it will, but he did reserve his a yay vote based on X. And I was trying to scratch my head to figure out exactly why he was withholding his vote. It wasn't contingency. It was on. Can you remind me what it was?
It was, I think, the sum total of things. We've gone back, we've done what he asked, and looked at things. I have a couple of questions too. So, and I'm not gonna, are not ignoring his opinion, but he's not deeply involved in the project, and I think Vertex's opinion and experience on possible costs for this is better than, is a stronger recommendation than Rod's. Rod has construction pardon me, the member has construction experience, but not with this project.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with Vertex's saying once after they've taken a second look. I do have a couple of questions also, but
I'm done. Thank you.
So what would the independent design review be, given that we've already, I'm sorry, Walter, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm going to ask sort of similar questions maybe, but one is, can I get a copy of the new sheet?
Yes.
And then the second question would be, when you start saying something like the concrete's only this much, but you know, we might come up with something else. I'm curious, what's the difference between contingency and you saying that, well, we might need it for something else, particularly since we're having a larger contingency? Are we belt and suspendering, I guess would be the question,
Yep.
because you're leaving, in essence, a contingency in a non-contingency place.
Understood. My answer with something specific as commissioning and with a testing agent, with those line items in particular. What we usually do is when we send out an RFP for commissioning and testing services on a project such as this, we send them all of the documents and a statement of special inspections that will be required by our structural engineer and any of the other engineers. But in their breakout of fees, they also will have services and tests that can be completed amongst a certain amount for a certain amount of money, which is based upon site visits, reports that need to be done, as well as any type of destructive testing that they would have to do from a concrete standpoint. So when we issue an initial purchase order or a recommend for a vendor to be brought on, it does come with the caveat with rates that are locked in the event something else comes up that we would be able to use and pull from that. So for a project such as this size, I anticipate getting bids from a testing agent around anywhere in the $40,000 range, with the potential that there may need to be additional site visits or other things that need to be done with it. So to answer your question, I don't agree that there's full belts and suspenders on here, but it also it is making sure that we're covered from a testing perspective and not having to pull out of a contingency for that work.
So in other words, you don't think there's no testing, and there might be. You think there's some testing, and it might be 40,000 or it might be 50,000, which is not really a big difference there.
Yes.
Okay. And I was gonna sort of answer Bob. I believe Mr. Shafford voted abstaining because he didn't want to vote against necessarily, but he was encouraging the committee to continue to look at the soft costs, particularly the questions he had, which actually is, you know, because I think he supported the effort that was done and would just like to push it a little further. And that's a little different than voting no, which I am appreciative of.
Just to check, Walter, if he were to decide to change his vote to yes, y'all could vote on the floor at town meeting and change that record from 801 to 900 if you wanted to.
Yeah, some of that's a little hard because we don't always have all 9 members present, so we don't generally re-vote unless there's new information. This could be considered new information if I have the packet and people can decide that. But for instance, at our Thursday meeting, I know at least one different members not there. So I don't know that is something that we necessarily would do, or that it necessarily matters, since it was an abstention, not a no vote. But yeah, we can even vote up to when the article's presented and present a new opinion if we wanted to.
So Walter,
I can ask him if he would like to, but again, it would probably be 800 instead of 70 or 9801 or whatever it is.
Okay, that's fine.
Walter, so what you'd like is, if I can, what I'd like to do, if you would allow me to clean up some of these notes more, I'd like to get a little bit more depth on the notes, and it may make the spreadsheet a little longer, but also just some more explanation for things that maybe why we're carrying there and why we haven't gotten a hard bid cost for something yet. And then I'll PDF this and send to you.
That'd be great. And then it would have the new number on it as well. So I could share that with the committee.
Yes. And to answer your
it's
question,
in the right direction. Yeah, for sure.
Just for that, the independent design review, this needs to be cleaned up for administrative costs that I need to put in here. This was something that's probably carried over from the previous budget that I need to clean up.
Yeah.
Okay. And then one other thing, sorry, Ed.
Go ahead.
There was one other thing we thought we might know more about, which I think was the sort of what it would take to fix the building. Do we not know that yet?
Not 100%, Walter. So we have after this meeting, I'm coordinating an on-site meeting for Thursday morning, which is going to include the fire department, building department, LPA, their consultant, who's Socotech, as well as the town's maintenance vendor, who's Johnson Controls, and they're all going to be on site. They are going to discuss the testing that needs to be done, what has been already provided in reports, as well as the future maintenance testing that's scheduled for this year and whether or not that's going to satisfy us being able to get into the building. So that's still being fleshed out. In addition to that, we have our meetings on Thursday, which is our transition meetings. We've worked with Mark from the IT department, who's also, we're going to need to work with his vendors, for example, Fiber Tech, who runs a lot of the communication wire. Once we relocate our network services over to this temp building, they're going to need to outfit the building per our floor plan. So we're going to need to spend some money, albeit probably not much, but we're going to need to spend some money to provide power and communication to all of the workstations and whatever Kate's needs are.
Yeah, I mean, that all makes sense. I was just asking because you have a new number on the 250K, but we had 337,500 left. So there was just some question whether before town meeting even, which is still 15 days away or whatever it is, 12 days away, whether we would know that number or not or not. And at this time, you don't know anything different. We don't know enough to change that number at this point.
Correct. We've changed
Okay.
the moving number. I don't have enough information to accurately or confidently lower that one.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks. I'm sad, Ed.
All right, no problem. So Brian, you were gonna tweak the independent design review. Is bidding not done, or is that to cover new bids that have not been done yet? There's bidding and advertising, in costs. There's the advertising and there's a bid document management for 2110.
Yes, it's already pretty much already been spent as part of the previous appropriations, but that's all built into this overall total project budget.
Okay. Okay, so that's getting taken out because you subtracted it out anyway. Okay.
Yep.
Wait, space.
Brian, when you send Walter that's the latest figures, could you send the rest of the group that too? So we have that.
Yeah, I was gonna request send that PDF to the building committee. And Walter, I guess you'll distribute it to the AFC. But
Right.
I definitely want to get it to the AFC because we told them at the meeting we would do that. Okay, and anything on utility back charges, is that something we could ask National Grid about, or?
Yeah, so we've gotten some very preliminary quotes on this where a transformer could cost anywhere, we could see costs that could $30,000 and $50,000. There's associated engineering that needs to go with this. And then we also need to account for any type of connection fees for other utilities such as water, fire protection, things of that nature. If there's anything that has to be done with the gas, which we don't anticipate. But those are the charges that we would see on this.
Okay. I would suggest you take fiber off the description on that because that's coming in under FF&E, I think, isn't it?
Okay. I will.
Yeah. Okay. I think that was all I had there. So here's a question for the group. Do we want to just lock in on the price we have now and say we'll take the rest of it out in construction phase? Or do we want to keep tweaking for another week or so before we have to actually lock it down for town meeting?
How much are we looking at to keep on changing it?
Does it matter until you want to prepare your slides for the thing,
well,
or do we have to vote a number ahead of time?
I don't think we have to vote a number. Does anyone?
I think, Ed, the only, this is just my opinion, and obviously it may be wrong, but the big variable is the temp operations line item that we have there for 337,000. And if we have our meeting on Thursday and leading up within the next couple of weeks, we identify that we're going to be able to get this building ready to go with occupation for a number well less than what that is, whether it's, you know, even if we don't have all of our answers at that point, but we are confident enough that we're able to take in another $100,000 out of this or something like that, that would probably be worth changing. It would be, is my opinion. Whether something gets knocked from 50 to 45 or those tweaks may not be on the scale to disrupt the presentation or
Right.
to change things at this point.
Yeah, but okay, but 100,000, that's probably worth doing. Just for background, the, I forget who, the person who's doing AV for this, I think it's Mark Stockman.
Mark Stockman,
Requested that we get
Friday.
him the slides Friday noon. So I'd like to finalize that number, Friday noon next week.
Right.
Not,
The 21st.
yeah, so I'd like to finalize that number by the 20th, so we can put it in the slides and wrap it up.
Okay.
I was just gonna mention that since, like the public info session is tomorrow, that number that gets, posted and verbally stated and shown on the slides there is probably gonna get spread far and wide.
Right.
So there's another factor there of like, that might be your moment to have your public number. And
If
Well,
we
it
go
can
down,
always go down. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
Down's
that's
always
true.
good.
As long as, down, it's down is the only direction. I get
Yeah.
that.
Right.
But that's the number that's probably going to be shared
Right.
and publicized by a lot of folks.
yeah, if they publicize that and we're down by 100,000, we look good. I don't think, and like Walter said, it won't hurt us. And at the info session, we will say, we're still working on bringing some costs out of this. We have to lock down the costs of
Right.
renting out the temporary library, and we hope to take some more out of that. So,
Yeah, maybe just a verbal note there that might go
Yeah.
down if anything. Yep.
Yeah. Anything else? So I think that covers it for the overall project status update.
Yes.
Anything that we missed?
No, I mentioned our meeting we're having on Thursday. I think
Right.
that's gonna be very helpful.
Yeah.
Getting both vendors in the room, the current town's maintenance vendor as well as LPA's consultant. Make sure we're not overlapping anything. And then also with the fire and building department there, if we get their head nod about the direction we're going in, so that
Yeah.
when we're ready to move in, there's no issues for occupancy.
So the next topic is relocation, and I know there is an update on that.
Yes. Mike, I know you've got another meeting, but we can do this quickly. So Mike will share the moving matrix. We received 3 quotes. All were very close together. And just to show the justification for us taking off $45,000 for our moving, we had 250, which is a number I based off of the Medford Public Library that we had. And we had three vendors, Diamond Relocation, National Library Relocations, and Wakefield Moving and Storage, all 3 of which we have experience with. And we received those bids. What the bids are that came in, you can see in the highlighted orange. And ultimately what we would be doing is issuing a purchase order for that amount to get them out of that building. What we do need to account for, though, is moving them back in, as well as potential modifications that we would need throughout the construction phase. Like we had talked about, the possibility of moving things around a stack if something happens or the town directs us to do anything, as well as any storage costs. All 3 of these vendors break down their quote and have additional services on there. So in the event that Caitner staff or anybody needs some storage or needs some rentals, we kept a potential storage cost placeholder in there. Therefore, getting our low bid to Wakefield Moving and Storage to $205,000. And the other thing that we liked about them is that they believe they have the resources to do this in a 5-day duration. And so with this recommendation to the committee and with a positive vote, we would recommend extending a purchase order or a contract to Wakefield Moving and Storage, and then including them in our transition meetings on a weekly basis, so that we can have them at the table and they can start working on our time schedule and understanding exactly what's going to need to be done.
Any questions or comments there?
So that would be done on the successful vote, right? Right
Correct.
after that. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, no, that's great. Surprised how
So-
close these guys all are, but
It's crazy. It's crazy.
So, seems to me it would help you, Brian, if we move to, authorize a purchase order to Wakefield Moving and Storage for the 77, whatever they're, contingent on approval of the overall project at town meeting.
It would, yes, and if that's the charge, we would inform Wakefield of exactly what our intentions are, and what you guys voted on.
And that would give them some grounds to stand on to send somebody to the transition meetings.
Correct.
So can we have such a motion?
so moved.
Okay,
Second.
I heard second, so it's Walter and Lynn. Okay, I'm gonna go down the list. Lynn,
Sukup, yes.
Kate,
Caraccio, yes.
Bill? I think Bill's mic is not working. If that's the case, just give us a thumbs up, Bill. Okay. Bob,
Petroselli, yes.
Pete,
Dunback, yes.
Walter?
Leslie, yes.
I'm looking to see if there's anyone I'm missing besides myself, and myself is also a yes. Did I miss anyone? Okay. So, Brian, you should have a go on that.
Thank you.
Temporary spanning, I guess, the next step, we'll get information on that on Thursday after that meeting.
Correct.
Okay. Have you sent out invitations for that one yet?
I have not. I didn't lock down a time yet as I was waiting
Okay.
for Johnson Controls, and they responded while we were doing our prep session. So,
Okay.
I think we're good to go.
Cool. Anything else on relocation or temporary space? Okay. Next one we have is planning for the March 2025 town meeting. The info session is tomorrow night at 6:30 in the library. Where's that? Where in the library will that be, Kate?
That will be on the main floor.
Same place we had one a couple years ago when it's the candidates night. Yeah, okay. Do we need to review any of the materials we're doing or there or for the town meeting? Actually, we haven't done dedicated materials for town meeting. So,
Are you doing the same presentation that you and Kate did for the Advisory Finance Committee and Select Board?
it's actually considerably expanded. We're putting in a good bit more detail. We're asking LPA and Vertex to speak to some of their areas of expertise. So I
Okay,
imagine this is going to run half an hour or so rather than the 5 or 10 minutes we've been doing for the boards. On the theory that people who come are interested and are making time. So, right. And we do, if people could stay after we finish this to show Bob the reasons not to spread this out over time slide. Okay. Anything else on planning for the March 2025 town meeting?
We also have our trifolds
Right.
materials, and we have yeah.
Okay.
If you're interested, but they're at the library.
Are those posted also?
Basically, there are the FAQs
Okay.
from the website, basically.
Okay.
And we can put a PDF version too, but it's just the cost. If you can read this, it's probably backwards.
No,
Um,
it's
No, I
good.
can see it. It's good.
Okay, and then QR code, Article 9, just all the same stuff we've been selling. In addition, so all of these, the Friends of the Library and the Foundation have offered to buy a bunch of promotional materials. So we have the trifold brochures. We also have a very dedicated group of volunteers that are doing door hangers.
oh,
Same
Cool.
stuff on there, but this one has it broken down cost per quarter
Mhm.
in terms of taxes, because what the staff keeps saying is it's less than Netflix, which is, I think, a really good point.
Yep.
That I cannot say, but maybe I can. So you've got that. We've got a big banner outside. We've been doing talks. I just gave one for a group in town that was really involved. About 35 people were there. Lynn and I will be doing one for the women's club tomorrow afternoon. I feel like we had one other thing, Lynn, but I can't remember. We've been doing a lot. So we've got all of those materials. We'll have them all tomorrow. We'll have the brochures to hand out tomorrow, so that people have the answers to some of the questions before we even start.
Any questions or comments?
I've just been hearing through the grapevine from different sources that there are, again, townspeople that are still upset with the community center and the rec department and everything like that. And I've heard quite a bit from off the record saying, well, why can't we just move the library there permanently? Why do we need to have it move back and forth? And why do we need to do the repair? I mean, if they'd been paid attention, they would have had the answer. So I don't think the comments or the people that are talking is necessarily about the work that we've done. I think it's on the overall frustration with the taxes and the best use of taxes. So I think we might need to be prepared to just show the value of why why it's not cost effective to vacate the building forever, and why our costs are indeed in realistic and needed. So I think there are still people that are pretty upset, but not necessarily with the library project per se, but just with the overall, efficient use of taxpayers' dollars. So I just think we need to keep that in the back of our mind in case those types of questions come up tomorrow evening or at town meeting.
I think
Should
you're
we
right
have a
on the
slide for that
nose.
for tomorrow night?
So I think we talked about this a little bit, and I am open to whatever you guys think, but I think in terms of the community center, I think what we're seeing online is people who are upset about the cost of the community center, how it happened, how it went, and so I think we're just becoming friendly fire to that. And I do think what we need to do is distance ourselves from it and talk about the library repair project and not the community center. I think the FAQ we have about the community center is great. It's one of the questions that's in the trifold brochure. Why can't we move there permanently? And then this was the other thing I forgot to talk about, which is these little shorts that we've recorded with Westborough TV. These were live as of, I think, 10 minutes ago or something. We're going to be posting these. And so one of these is, why not move the library permanently into the community center? I don't know if you guys can hear it, but Lynn gives a very gorgeous answer to it. And so we'll be posting these online. And I think the power of these and our FAQs is that when we see talk happening like that on Facebook, on all of the community groups, what we can do is just link the answer straight from there. So grab it straight from the FAQ, grab that YouTube video, and so that people have the answer straight from the source rather than from other places. And I think as library building committee, it's totally appropriate for you guys to do that. Generally, as director, I try to stay out of those things, and I'm not going to use the Westborough Public Library account for those things. So if you guys don't mind, if you see those things, maybe grabbing one of those answers and putting it in when appropriate would be great.
Thank you. Yes, good.
Do we need, I'm going to ask again, I didn't get a specific answer. Do we need to create a slide for this to go into tomorrow night's presentation? I'm seeing dubious look, so okay.
I think it could get asked. I think there's a critical importance here of you abandoned the building downtown. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
And you're going to spend money somehow on that. And then also the library moves there, the senior center can't move. So what are you going to do with the senior center project? And you're going to build a renovation there, and you're not you're just moving the little turtle shells around,
Yeah.
but you end up not with what you want. So it just yeah, I think there's just a certain fervor going on, but I think that's what social media is kind of these days, except for some nice people.
Yep.
And it's great to see a bright smiley face this morning, Kate, on the thing you posted, which was talking about the event coming up.
I'll try anything to get people to come.
Cool.
So yeah, I don't know whether I think you should be prepared for that question. And so if you want a slide, or you can show the little video or something, but I can't imagine that question doesn't come up. Right? It's a common question.
Yeah. Okay. So now if you, it sounds like Kate feels she can handle it without a slide, so I think we're good. Anything else in terms of planning for tomorrow's session or town meeting at this point? Brian?
Just a quick question, as experience with public questions, the number that's being advertised for the tax burden on each, that has been vetted by town accountant and finance at this point, or where? I just want to make sure that what's being said is accurate, and I don't want to make sure I'm not stepping on anyone's toes. So
Yeah, the number on that is just the number for the construction phase and not the number for the overall project. It's based on the number that Walter gave us at AFC.
Yeah.
So my assumption is that that's the correct number for the average year, should all the money be borrowed, which
At 5%.
5%.
at 5%.
And yeah, I have that number here somewhere.
I think it's
and
in
my
the-
last
So
question.
117, or the town finance director calculated 116 point something
Okay.
for
Right.
the average per year. So I guess if you're a quarter, you're going to divide that by 4.
Mhm.
Yeah, the
And
last. Go ahead.
Last just quick question, just to make sure I'm speaking correctly. This is a 2/3 is what's needed at town meeting, and that's all that's needed.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly 2/3, I believe. If you have 2/3, you pass. If I recall from the last discussion where it was only 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
Sadly, not the
We've had
last
some
one.
tight votes,
It was a bunch of discussions ago. Different project.
Anything else?
Yeah, anything with a borrow, Brian needs 2/3. Just
What would require a vote on top of that, Walter, here in Westborough? Anything, or an actual ballot, a ballot
oh
vote?
well, some towns do debt overrides,
Yep.
and then you would need that one if
Okay.
you needed to do that.
I don't think Westborough's in debt override territory,
No,
so
there was some discussion at some point of that might be a good idea to do on things sort of greater than 10 million, but that never got
Yeah.
pushed down the road very far.
Okay.
the other
Thank
thing
you.
is the easement is combined with this article, so I think it also needs a 2/3 majority, so we'll get one vote will cover it all. Hopefully successfully. Anything else planning for town meeting?
I was glad to see they moved this up to Article 9, which puts it probably during the daylight hours potentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the budget's going to take a while, but
Let's see. Yeah, so you think it's afternoon before like 7? It's
I hope so. Yeah. I
Yeah.
would think so.
Yeah.
Where we were before at close to Article 20, I think we would definitely been in the evening.
in the evening and maybe
Yeah.
Monday, which
Well,
would not have been good.
we tend, there are like 12 or 14 less articles than last year's town meeting, so we should be able to get this done in a day, I think, depending on that first one. Or not, it's the first one, it's Article 7, I think, the budget.
Any other building related issues? I know I have 2 on there. Let me start with the first one, which is, last week we talked about the potential for removing the bookcases in the, what will become the reading room on the right of the library as you walk in the front door. And I asked people to go take a look and let the trustees also, and let us have their thoughts, if they have any thoughts. Okay, I have thoughts,
didn't get
because
there.
I
Yeah.
went in and did take a look. So it's, I believe those are mostly the original bookcases. They're probably historical wood bookcases from 1908. I don't know if, Caitlin, you know any history of that?
I think on one side, Ed, if you go into that
Yeah, the teen
fireplace
room
room,
side is, yeah,
on the right-hand side, that is that's new to, I think it probably came in and when the addition was built.
and the right-hand side, all
On
those,
the
okay.
right-hand side, yeah. And that is not attached to the wall. It's like, I mean, it is attached, but it's not part of the wall, if that makes sense.
Oh, look at this, a virtual tour.
So those are, okay,
So
so those are not
those two
original.
are these are original,
Okay,
but the
yeah,
one that's underneath the TV is not.
right. I was looking, I was there earlier and noticed that it definitely looks different. It's sort of the same
Yeah,
design, but different wood and have,
yeah,
I was wondering if it got pulled out of the teen room and moved over here when you put those other
No,
bookcases in. No, okay.
no.
No,
Um,
I think just to clarify that, I think that they're actually like 1980 original, because there's, is that right, Tony? I know you looked into this. If you're still online, I'm not sure.
I wasn't able to find any definitive drawings.
Oh, okay, got
So-
it. I wasn't sure if we found
which
that.
would-
Sorry.
yeah.
So, well, so, okay, so they may be 1980 rather than 1908. The other thought is they are magazine shelves,
Yeah.
the upper and lower ones, but it would not, I believe, be hard to convert them to regular bookshelves. You take out the existing shelves and put pegs in there and lay the shelves flat or put new ones in. I think that's what was done in the ones behind where we're looking right now, the newer ones.
Yeah,
So
so the only issue with that is for adults, those
down
bottom
low.
shelves are not usable, and really the second shelf would be borderline. So we would really only have that top shelf as usable, potentially the one underneath it, depending on where it's lined up.
I'll say I'm inclined to keep them and maybe convert them to regular bookshelves just because I like the look of the wood. But that's a decision for the trustees, I think, to make with advice from Kate and the library staff. And these, they're painted, they're not, they certainly don't look original. They are
So,
not.
just so you know,
Yeah.
what's in the scope now is refinishing of the ones that are currently wood and repainting of the ones that are already painted. That's what's in the scope right now.
Just to check, on the other side, there's a big heat register that looks like it's from 1980, and a bunch of conduits and plugs that are clear later add-ons. This is on the right-hand side, not, well, that looks like one of the later add-on plugs there anyway. Yeah, they're the same
Mhm.
thing on this side. Are those gonna get redone or beautified or anything?
Beautified, yes. So like all of these are replaced in location. This one is going to be integrated, I think, into the base over here.
Mhm.
So yes, there are, because this is kind of like an exterior, or like not meant to be exposed
Right,
option. Yes. So the short answer is yes.
okay, no,
Yeah.
that's all the answer I needed there. That's
Yeah,
good.
the point that the pipes in the corners will also get enclosed as well
Right.
in new plywood. So
Uh-huh.
if the cabinets go or the bookcases go away, we'd have to extend those enclosures to the floor as well.
Right.
The other unknown is what is the condition of the wall behind these bookcases? We don't know that finished plaster does extend to the floor.
Mhm.
So we'd have to own some scope of work there to dress up what's left behind.
Yeah, I think we would be okay with the paneling that is behind those bookshelves. I mean, for me, like, I think that would be suitable, so the plaster wouldn't have to be repaired necessarily.
Christina, I'm looking at the 1980 drawings, and these bookshelves, they mentioned that these bookshelves were existing at the time the 1980 drawings were produced. Now, I don't know if these are original to 1908 or they were replaced sometime within those 62 years, but it does look like these predate 1980.
I did one.
Thank you.
One minor point, if you look at the window to the left of this one, there's a plaque that thanks the Rotary Club for, I think, furnishing this window. That little, yeah, I doubt you'll be able to read it, but you can see that little rectangle. Yeah, so I don't know if we need to do or think about that at all, but it's there. Okay,
Yeah, I think just to put a small pin on where Lynn and I are at and the staff are at with this is that
Mhm.
this ask comes out of really because of the reduction of adult shelving in the
Mhm.
adult section and the need to get adequate usable shelving so that our collection doesn't suffer in terms of size, that we're able to still serve adults in a way that our collection is adequate. And I think, well, yes, they're beautiful and they're a part of our structure, and in an ideal world, it would be great to keep them. I think if we kept them, we lose the ability to have adequate shelving in those spaces, because that shelving does not serve any sort of purpose for adult usage. So like, see, these are here, but they are against the shelving.
Mhm.
So that whole line of
Well, yeah,
shelving really,
we had to struggle with pulling them out, but reducing the number of them. Does that make sense? So, because in order to provide passage through on both sides for accessibility, you have to really reduce the number of shelves you can put there.
Mhm.
so that's kind of the why. And I just thought it was important to contextualize that.
Let me ask Christina or Brian, this, if we do decide to take the wood shelves out, that would require a change order. When would we need to do that to minimize the impact?
Is it just to be removed?
Let's say be removed and to add scope to beautify or refinish kind of what's behind the shelves,
Yeah.
which is an unknown. So we could have
Yep.
things like things that we can't see underneath the shelves, behind the shelves that we don't quite have an inventory of, since we've always kind of planned to have them refinished in place.
Yeah,
So
my
that's
opinion
kind
of
of a
this,
wild card.
yeah, my opinion would be at a kickoff meeting, we know exactly what we want to do. We convey that to the GC when they start doing their demolition.
Mhm.
And we start gathering as much info as we can. Then we would issue it a request for proposal from them in order to do once we have all the information we need.
So that would be, at the kickoff meeting would be not too long after town meeting.
Correct, but I would also say that we probably wouldn't be acting on this until they mobilized on site. And if there was any exploratory work that needed to be done as part of the
Mhm.
demo.
Okay, so
So
I guess where I am is we don't need to make this decision now. We can
agreed.
wait and have toss it through with the trustees and they're our boss, so they're everybody's boss
guess-
as far as this project goes, so we can let them make the decision.
I would make, I think, two other comments is that when we spoke to the historical commission, not that they have like an extreme amount of authority over what we do, we did say that we were going to maintain and refinish. So that was something that was in the scope at that time, and that's what has been stated. The other note is that if we wait till the RFP until after they're demolished, we don't really have a going back or an alternative option. We're at their
Right.
mercy in terms of the cost that they want to put up for replacing and refinishing behind the shelves, because they will have been demolished. So it's a little bit like risky in that way. I don't know if Mike or Eric, if you have anything else you'd like to add.
Yeah, I would just say, Christina, that we don't know what's behind there, but we could, we could ask that during the beginning of the demolition phase that they make an effort to pull those, or maybe a couple or three of those out of there, so we can actually see what's behind there and what we're dealing with the idea that, if they could, they'd be, kept in intact condition to the extent possible so that they could be reinstalled if the committee chose not to pursue this option. Anytime you start demolishing things, they're not
They're demolished at the end.
yeah.
So maybe we should, assuming things pass, take some kind of initiative to look behind one of them and get an idea of what we might be getting into.
Yeah, and looking at the 1980 drawings where those two heater units are, there were bookshelves there. So there's a possibility that maybe that wood backer remains and just take the shelves themselves off and preserve that wood finish there and not peel off the wood and the plaster and just kind of leave that as a surface to build against. Seems to be what they did in 1980 for those locations.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Christina. We were using the base of those for some kind of raceways, were we not?
Yes,
We were running electrical or
yeah, so where possible, if we were going to have a new base, like here, for example, we would hide the electrical in there whenever we could, especially if that was new construction. You can see here is one example. The base is hiding an electrical receptacle. So that's all the more reason for some investigative, demolition.
so we would just need to come up with a strategy to how we would deal with the electrical power and data that is currently proposed to utilize that as a raceway.
Right. And we, like Mike said, we do have these chases coming down here that are being enclosed and they have some power and data on them. So there's an opportunity potentially there where that's going to be a place where we can add additional power at these corners.
So we have questions about the, and this is nothing new, I guess, is we have questions about the scope of taking them out. And we could, so I think the action we want to do here is, assuming things pass, we do whatever investigations are appropriate to try and figure out what we'd be looking at to take them out. And be in a position where we can discuss a change order in a reasonable way or informed way. But Lynn, can you put that on the agenda for the next trustees meeting? I think is the 26th. Any other comments on bookshelves? Or any other building related issues? The last thing I have is search for a new chair. Any updates or comments on that? Okay, nothing yet. Okay. Next meeting, we have posted a meeting for tomorrow evening at the information session. That gives us two things. It gives us an opportunity to talk about anything that comes up at the meeting, and it allows us to discuss policy and quote deliberate at the meeting, because we'll probably have a quorum there. So that we're covered in terms of open meeting law. After that, I guess the next meeting would be the, let's see, 25th, which is the Tuesday after town meeting. Does that make sense? Do we need to have a meeting the week before town meeting, or do you think we're okay?
Bill, don't you have a meeting at the town meeting just for open comments in case we need to?
Oh, that's correct, we do. I don't know if we've posted it yet, but that is the plan. Anything else? Okay, I guess we're done.
Ed, I have
Go ahead.
just a quick announcement. I think some of you may know this already, but just wanted to let everybody know that as of the end of this month, I will be retiring from Lamero Pagano. And I just wanted to thank you. It's been an honor for to have your trust and support to be on this project. We and you're an incredibly dedicated group of people. I must say, you know, and the trustees to put all this time and effort into the project. You know, it started back in for me 2015, but for some of you much longer. I know. So I won't be hiking the Appalachian Trail, but I do plan to spend a lot more time with my granddaughters and on my bicycle. So the
excellent.
project is in very good hands too with the team that we have.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Enjoy.
We'll see you at the ribbon cutting.
I
Yeah,
hope so.
definitely. Well, I shouldn't say definitely, not yet. Not until the 23rd.
Thanks for all your help, Eric,
Yes, indeed.
since
Thank
the
you.
beginning.
Since the inception, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Been a great leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Anything else?
Move to adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, I don't, not sure who that was, but there were a couple of them. Okay, so going down the list, we have Lynn. You're muted, Lynn. Lynn, you're on mute.
Sorry,
There you go.
Duke, yes.
Okay, Kate,
Caraccio, yes.
Bob,
Petroselli, yes.
Bill,
Lenane, yes.
Pete,
Dunbeck, yes.
Walter.
Leslie, yes.
I see an R. Christopher Noonan.
Is
I'm not sure who.
public.
Public. Okay.
Yeah.
And I see no other. Oh, Mary.
Johnson, yes.
Okay, and Bob, did I get you?
Yes, you did.
Okay, so and myself is a yes. So the meeting is adjourned. I will say, Mr. Noonan, I assume you're Mr. Noonan. Please feel free to reach out if you have questions or want to talk to. I'm happy to talk to anyone. Thank you, and I guess that's it.